This is our Rover Ruckus Engineering Notebook, which in some ways is an improvement on our past engineering notebooks, but we still have a long ways to go. The entire thing is available on our Facebook page for anyone who would like to read through it. Looking at the cover, the team logo is up at the top left corner, followed by some pictures, and our team number. We didn't do quite as much outreach as we probably should have, so we made sure to put some outreach pictures on the front of our notebook to emphasize the outreach that we did do. Here are pictures of the We Do Lego Robotics class that we taught. We only taught one of these classes during the Rover Ruckus season, but we've already done 7 during the off-season, and we plan to do more in the future. The first page in our notebook is our summary page. I'll mention briefly that you should always label your summary page, which is something we did not do. We realized this when the judges pointed it out to us at Corning. If we had another competition after Corning, we would have added a page title, but we have not modified our notebook since Corning. At Sequoit, our summary page was a chronological discussion of the season, but by Corning, we were no longer able to fit a whole chronological discussion of the season into one page, so we broke it into these 4 sections. Who we are, which is a general summary of the team, which describes where we meet and things like that. Down here is outreach, which tries to emphasize the outreach that we did. You can see that there's a mistake down here where the same reference to the team section appears twice. The first one is correct, and we must have copy-pasted it down to here and forgot to change it to the correct second reference. And you can also notice that all our references to the team section are in blue, and all our references to the engineering section are in orange. That is one way that you can differentiate between our team and engineering sections. Then down here it's our mechanical design section, talks a little bit about our mechanical design, and has some interesting references to the engineering section. And then down here is the programming section, which discusses our programming and contains some more references to the engineering section. The next page is our table of contents. You can see that the first section is in blue because it refers to our team section. Each line has the specific contents of a page. The next page moves on to the engineering section. As we move through, you can see it describes the content of each page. Then we move on to the team section. I'll mention briefly that it's best practice to print your pages double-sided, which is what we did for both Sequoit and Corning. But unfortunately, we didn't get our notebook back from Corning, and when we reprinted it, we forgot to print the pages on both sides. The team section was probably the poorest part of our notebook this year. It starts off pretty well. It has everyone's biography paragraph and their pictures. Patrick B. wrote an interesting biography paragraph if anyone would like to read that. But here's where the problems start. The intention of a team section is to talk about the team, to talk about what the robot can do, who's on the team, how did the team start, what's the team's history, what outreach has the team done. Our main problem is we didn't do very much of any of that. It just became a collection of meeting logs. These meeting logs were supposed to be less technical than the meeting logs in the engineering section. But as time went on, the team section just became another engineering section. Because of that, it's really not a real team section, and I think that's the biggest flaw with our notebook this year, and that's something we're definitely going to address next year. The reflections at the bottom of each page are nice, but they really belong in the engineering section. The paragraph documents what happened in the meeting. It does that quite well, but that still doesn't mean it belongs in a team section. And you can see the writing becomes more and more long-winded as the season progresses, which is one of the things I don't like about this one page per meeting table format, is that it restricts you to one page of writing, so if you have a lot to talk about, you might have to compress everything down, especially if you have a lot of pictures. But one thing that is quite nice about our team section is our documentation of our qualifier. It is done in green as opposed to the rest of the team section, which was done in blue. It documents our Sequoit qualifier, It was not designed to impress the judges as much as it was designed to show future members what a competition is like. It's 7 full pages on the Sequoia qualifier. There's a lot of detail in here that probably isn't going to mean very much to the judges, such as we have all the pictures marked with a timestamp. It talks about where our booth was and how we prepared for the judging round and how our inspection went. It even discusses the technical difficulties they were having playing the Rover Ruckus video during the opening ceremony. Then we have each match we participated in with its alliance and score and a general summary of what happened. There's actually a mistake in match 2. The score is backwards. It discusses how it was our best round of the night in terms of what we scored, and then it shows us losing the match down here. These scores should be switched, but I've left them this way in order that we can see what the notebook was like as of Corning, what mistakes were there. No mistakes have been corrected since Corning. I believe the rest of the matches in here are accurate. Some of the later ones take up an entire page. And then at the end here I talk about the scores and who won what award and what the qualification seed was. And then we go back into more meetings and all the same problems as before. I'll mention briefly that leaving blank reflection spaces when people forget to do their reflections probably isn't a very good idea. There are not too many things in the rest of the team section that are worth pointing out. Although I should mention this is the first WeDo LEGO Robotics program we did. We've done a lot of WeDo programs since then, but unfortunately they've all been after Corning, so they didn't count for anything this year. Here are some pictures of our members helping the students build their WeDo robots. And even though we actually had outreach to talk about, we still spent almost half of the team section talking about our mechanical design. That was not probably a very smart idea. And as we go on, there's more documentation of meetings. And at the end, there is another outreach event, our Wellwood Middle School event. We and the FM Robotics team were both invited to present our robots at the Wellwood Middle School to a number of classes. The only problem was that because of FM rules, no homeschoolers were allowed in the building during this event. And 5 out of our 7 members are homeschooled. And one of our public schooled members couldn't be there, so we only had 1 member to present our robot. Even so, it apparently went very well. And that's the end of our team section, which brings us to our engineering section, which is done in orange. Some aspects of the formatting are similar to the team section, including the list of attending team members, the date, the location, and the meeting number. Next year, we're just going to give the date and not use meeting numbers because they can become rather confusing, especially when members come in alone to do work on the robot or we add extra meetings. One way the formatting differs from the team section is we did not limit ourselves to only using 1 page per meeting as we did with the team section. Most of our engineering section meetings run onto 2 or 3 pages, which is quite a bit nicer. We start each meeting with a list of attendance and details, then each task gets its own heading which lists who was involved in that task. And at the end of each meeting there's a list of accomplishments. One thing that we did that was rather silly is we documented the construction of the game elements. In-depth discussion of which holes did not line up on the lander and how the zip ties went through the crater. Things that don't really need to be talked about in the engineering section because it's supposed to be discussing the engineering of our robot, not the engineering of the game elements. Our engineering section is quite a bit nicer than our team section, but its main problem is that we didn't have a very well thought out strategy or design process. On page 28 of the engineering section, we have some relatively detailed 3D designs of how we could create an arm that would fold within an 18-inch cube and extend high enough to score minerals in the cargo holds of the lander. Here is a picture of a non-folding arm, and here is the design for the folding arm that we built. The problem is this is one of the only times we drew or created a 3D model of something in advance of building it. We don't have very much software in our engineering section. That's also something we're going to try to change next year. But most of the problems with the engineering section can be solved by improving our engineering process, and the problems with the team section can be solved by doing more outreach and doing a proper team section. This is the end of our engineering section, and you'll notice we have no business plan or strategic plan or sustainability plan. The reason we didn't do a business plan is because of the funding we receive from the Fayetteville Library. We have not had to put too much thought into securing funds. We probably should have done a strategic plan. We've already written part of a strategic and sustainability plan for next year. It's going to discuss how to delegate responsibility between members in different roles so that we can hopefully have a more efficient process. And it's also going to describe some long-term goals for the off-season and hopefully for the season itself. That, in addition to changing how we're doing our team section, doing more outreach, and having a better engineering and design process, are going to be our main concerns next year in terms of improving our notebook and improving the team overall, both in terms of robot performance and outreach. If you have any questions or suggestions regarding our notebook, please let us know. We would be happy to take suggestions from or give suggestions to anyone. Thank you for listening, and good luck in the upcoming Skystone season.